Everybody is saying hey. I'm just jamming while you all are greeting each other. Not many people on yet, though. Hey, Sam, how's it going? Bob, good to see you. Pepper, welcome. You're early. David Sillers. David, was it? No, it was the other David in New York that asked me about what bass he should get. That's a tough question. I probably just a J bass is a great place to start. A Fender J bass, Mexican one. So I don't want to. If I bump this, it's kind of precarious the way the mic is set up. So I don't want to. So David, what's the good news? What's this test? Let's see. Oh, nice. Your Heleniki test clear yesterday. I think that's good. Don't know what that is. Hey, Blue, what's going on? Blue times berries. Bob Schumann, let's see. I already said hi to you. Holly, I got one moderator. Oh, two. Bruce is in the house. Let's see. Oh, hey, Urs. I'm going to call you Urs. URS. Okay, I got to remember to look at this camera. The camera's different now, so it's on. So I don't know if you can tell a difference. It's kind of wider. You can see my bourbon over there. I don't drink. I hardly ever drink it. You see a bunch of empty bottles, but it's mostly the boys. Like at Thanksgiving or whatever, Christmas, they come over and we'll have a bourbon or something like that together. I had a friend over the other day and we smoked cigars and had a glass of bourbon. That was kind of nice. I don't know what you're saying, Blue. Let's see. Charlie B, good morning to you too. Sandy, good to see you. Good afternoon to you. Just trying to catch everybody here. Urs, where are you? URS, where are you located? Actually, the camera, I'm like, oh man, it's got all this real estate over here, but that's actually kind of handy because we need that sometimes. And I've got very little light in here, but I feel like I'm washing out. So this new camera, it's like, holy cow. I mean, I'm aiming normally I would aim this box light at me, but I'm aiming it at the ceiling and it's still like got all this light and everything. Now, I don't know if I'm lagging or not, but I feel like it's lagging a little bit. Hey, John Y, back to the, yeah, you had your thumb surgery, right? How did that go? Apparently you said it was, your thumb's getting better. Oh, you're in Switzerland, nice. Beth and I were just talking about going to Switzerland. I'm thinking I might actually, I've never driven in Europe, I've always been afraid to, but I feel like driving between the big cities, you know, there's so much to see between the cities in Switzerland, like between Bern and Zurich and different cities. I think it would be more fun to kind of drive and take detours and stuff. I'm not sure if I would just go with the flow and not get hotels or something until the day of. I'm not sure I have that kind of, I don't like living out of a suitcase. I like kind of planning myself in one place. But Jack Lloyd, good to see you. Yeah, I guess that's probably true, right? And I wouldn't drive in like Italy, though. Rome is very different than Los Angeles. Or London. I don't think London is just sitting and waiting. London, we rode on the buses in London, sat up high, so you could see stuff. But man, it took forever to get anywhere. The subway is much preferred in London. So, I thought I did a 2-chord jam. Oh, I did right here. Okay, so this goes actually between. Oh, I see. got that. All right. So let's do this. Boop. All right. Just organizing my music here. You know, it's been rare that you know, the thing is for me to practice, and I'm a little bit of a practicing program right now because I'm doing a wedding. I hate doing weddings. I never do weddings. I stopped doing weddings as soon as I didn't need the money. You can't pay me enough. But a good friend of mine who was widowed a couple of years ago, 3 years ago or so, he is engaged and asked me to accompany him on a song at his wedding. This is why I don't like weddings. And he knows this. We talked about this. He asked me to accompany him on a song. Okay, simple song. The wedding's down in Orange County, kind of deep Orange County, so it's a couple hours away. I'm going to have to drive down, get up at like 5 in the morning, drive down to Orange County Saturday morning, beat the crowds, and then play at the wedding and come back. Okay, fine, one song. Well, then he said, oh, by the way, a friend of mine is going to sing too. Would you accompany her on a song? I'm like, okay, this is always what happens. And my nephew, Tony, who teaches lessons, by the way, guitar lessons, although right now he's on the road, so he's not doing it, but he asked me, because he's getting pretty good at classical guitar. He said, hey, I want to start doing weddings. You have any recommendations? And I said, basically, come up with a fee schedule and give it to him. You know, here's my fee for the wedding, to play music for the prelude or whatever. If I have to learn new pieces, that's going to be an extra fee. If I have to accompany someone and rehearse with them beforehand, that's another fee. If you want me at the rehearsal dinner, that's another fee, plus hotel and food allowance and all this stuff. Just discourage them from adding stuff to it. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to this wedding in Orange County. I'm going to be bringing my acoustic guitar and playing a couple songs, and they're going to have a PA system for me. And I used to have a mobile PA system, but it broke, and I intentionally I didn't get it fixed because I got tired of people asking me to bring it and play music. So I don't have it. It's like owning a truck, a pickup truck. As soon as you buy a pickup truck, everybody asks you to help them move, right? So, so anyway, my friend said, "Oh, hey, would you play some classical guitar music for people coming down, you know, getting seated and everything before the wedding?" so now I've got my repertoire out. I haven't played a bunch of music in a long time, so so now I'm having to practice. So I'm practicing again. All that to say, John, that's what. So for me, practice is all about practicing for something. It's hard for anybody to practice for nothing. It's really difficult to go out and practice your serve in tennis if that's all you're doing. It almost makes no sense. But if you're playing somebody the next week, you know, you're like, okay, I got to get my serve up, and I got to work on my second serve so that it's not so wimpy. So I'm going to spend all my time trying to get my serve in and seeing, you know, working on that so I have a solid second serve. That kind of thing. It's always better if you have something. So I don't know how you do that necessarily, John. I mean, I don't know if you've ever played in public before. I forget if you've oh, how about going to Greece? Here's the problem. Beth just took a new job and she's only going to have summers off. I don't want to go to Greece in the summer. Too hot. I live in LA. I don't want to go anywhere hot in the summer. So we're looking at Scandinavia. We're looking at Ireland and Scotland, which are going to definitely be coolish. We're looking at Cornwall. Just any place that's not going to be hot. Like I wouldn't go to Barcelona. I wouldn't go to Italy in July. You know, it's just too hot. And Switzerland might be hot, but inexpensive. But it will be a little bit cooler because it's up in the mountains. So, but we haven't really decided. All right. So, yeah, so John, that's kind of my recommendation, is to try to find some way that you can do something that will give you a motivation to practice. If there's an open mic night, maybe, I don't know if you and your wife are having a dinner party and maybe you want to sit down and play some music for, you know, for hors d'oeuvres or something. You could do that. I used to do that all the time with my mom. Would have my parents would have dinner parties, and I would set up in the corner and play classical guitar. And it was a great way to kind of deal with my nerves and to play in front of people and try out pieces. I also, basically, ultimately volunteered to play at a restaurant in Pasadena for quite a while. I was playing there Sunday mornings doing like jazz and a jazz quartet. And then the owners asked if I would be interested in coming out during the week and playing classical guitar during lunch. And I said, sure, you know, because it was a good way. And, you know, there'd be pieces that, you know, it might be like, you know, the Bach, you know. And I might play it much slower, you know, a piece that, and that piece they would know if I was going. They would be like, why are you playing so slow? But there are a lot of pieces that aren't common and that you want to work up. And I would like the Bach Chaconne, which is pretty insane. But I could play through it all, but not at tempo, like literally at 1/3 tempo. So that was, you know, so I actually was using the restaurant as a place to practice. So that's kind of different than what you're talking, you know, what you wanted. You want to have motivation to practice. Yeah, you've had a record summer. It's so funny. We've had such a mild summer here in Los Angeles. It's like one of the nicest summers we've ever had. So it's been kind of humid, but hardly ever hit 100. Normally we'll have like, I don't know, 20, 30 days over 100, but we've had like 2. So it's been nice. But you know, yeah, that's not typical, and so it might not happen next summer if we go. Oh, Discord link, thank you. Let me do that, and I'll pin it. Oh, we got some people showing up now. All right, cool. All right, so let me talk about the scale, and I will in a minute post the. Okay, I'm going to pin this. Okay. I'm going to, sorry, and my camera now is to the left of my screen. So I'm looking more at the screen now instead of at the camera. I'm trying to focus on the camera as much as I can. Like I said, it's a little bit wider, I think, no, actually the camera's further away than it was. My iMac camera was probably here. So now it's going to be blurry. It's got to get refocused on me. So I have, let's see. All right. So basically, the scale I'm using, or I was using at the beginning of this video, and that we're talking about today, it was one of my, I think it was actually one of the bonus scales. I did my top 10 most used scales. I added 2 more, and I think one of them was this one, the Mixolydian Pentatonic. Now, pentatonic implies a 5-note scale, okay? And then Mixolydian implies that it's going to be something that's going to work over a dominant 7th chord, okay? So we can think of the scale as two ways that we can approach and arrive at this scale, okay? Or at least 2 ways that I can think of that are fairly simple. One, we can take a minor pentatonic and take the 3rd and go up 1 fret or up a half step, okay? The other thing we can do is we can take a dominant 7th arpeggio. So a 7th arpeggio would have a root, a 5th, a root, a 3rd, a 5th, and a 7th. So 4 notes. So if you add that 4th, okay, the 4, you have 1, 3, 4, 5, and 7. Now you've got a 5-note scale. So you can, like I said, you can arrive at this either by taking a minor pentatonic, and so like that, that's an A minor pentatonic. And you can do it by raising that 3rd. 1, 3, that's the 3. Up a fret. So instead of playing 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, I'm playing 5, 9, 5, 7, 5, 7. Now, that's a stretch, and some of you can't really do that stretch. But there's going to be snippets, as I like to say, or sections of the scale that'll be more playable. Rarely would you play the scale except to practice it and to learn its positions. Rarely in a context of playing music would you just play the scale up and down. It's just not going to happen. You're going to play sections of a scale to make a musical statement. You're not necessarily going to play notes that are difficult for you to get to. In fact, you might find yourself so you might find yourself avoiding, all of us do this, avoiding the difficult things and doing the more simple things to play. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that you're going to have to use those snippets to create melodies that people want to listen to. If you can only play 2 notes, you're going to have to really work hard to make a melody out of those 2 notes. But if you can go ahead and, play a bigger section of the scale, then you should be able to create some cool melodies. I heard when I play this scale, I think of 2 players come to mind: Eric Johnson and Jeff Beck. But again, it's a great scale over a 7th chord, and I just like it sounds Middle Eastern or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. Oh, I got a pin. Oh, I did pin it. Okay. Oh, hey, Joel. Where's Joel? Hey, Joseph. What's going on? You were gone last week. I missed you. A couple weeks. You could also think of it as adding 2 notes up in the major pentatonic. However, Sam, you're having to do 2 things. And with my methodology, you only have to do 1 thing. And so if you play an A7 arpeggio. So A7 arpeggio would be A, C sharp, E, and G. The only thing you have to do is add 1 note, and that's the D. You add the 3rd. So you have A, C sharp, D, E, and G. So that's really easy if you already know how to play a 7th arpeggio. Even this. Just add that D. And the nice thing about pentatonics is, and you can figure these different ways, but one of the nice things about pentatonics is they do tend to have 2 notes per string, which makes it a lot easier when you're trying to play fast and you're doing some right hand stuff. If you're doing an arpeggio thing, particularly, I always say, major triads are very difficult on guitar. You end up having to do sweep picking to play them fast. And like I said, on mandolin, they're actually really easy. Triads on mandolin play like pentatonic scales on 6-string guitar. But if you just start to find your 7th arpeggios up and down the fretboard, dominant 7th, then all you have to do is add that 4. However you want to do it. But the other way, like I said, that you can do is just the minor pentatonic, which you know very well. Boop. All right. So here's the minor pentatonic, basically the first 15 frets, right? And if you look at that 5th fret right there, where I have that R, R's on the roots, those are A notes. And A minor pentatonic works fine over A7. You just want to, that note just kind of wants to go somewhere. And this diagram will make an appearance again when I talk about the minor pentatonics. When I talk about the minor pentatonics, I'll probably talk about all the different ways we can use our familiar patterns. But if you're learning, if you're like a beginner on electric guitar, this is one of the first things most guitar teachers will teach you. And there's basically just 5 shapes there. If you look down the fretboard, you know, particularly from the player's perspective, you look down, you look at a section of the fretboard, you can see the 12 notes that you would play. So if I start on the 5th fret with my first finger, I'm going to play that root, and then I'm going to go 8th fret, then 5th fret, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 8. And that's what we call pentatonic number 1. I have videos, you can go back and check those out. And then the next shape, if you go up and start on the next note, right here, you go to here and you start on that note and just play those notes all in that neighborhood. You can shift a little bit, or you can be really pure about having your fingers stay in that position. There's one we're going to have to move out of position, but we've done this. So there's basically 5 shapes. This is pentatonic number 1 at the 5th fret, and if I start on the 8th fret note on the 5th bottom string, that's pentatonic number 2, and that's kind of based over this C chord. This one's kind of on top of the A minor chord. You can think of this C chord here. All right, and then we have the next one, which is starts at the 10th fret, and you can see that 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12, 9, 12, 10, 13, 10, 12. So it's kind of got this weird kind of shift, but that shift right there, where I'm at the 9, 12, 10, 12, or 9, 12, 10, 13 on the 3rd string and 2nd string, those are the same 4 notes as up here on the top of the pentatonic number 1. And those are the kind of things you want to notice, because if you go, oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. You know, things like that, you can find licks all over the fretboard if you just notice the shapes start to recur. It's, you know, it's called shape playing, or boxes, playing in the boxes, that kind of thing. And then the next pentatonic would be number 4. In fact, it's the same shape down here on the bottom, an octave below. You can do that same look. You'll start to see the shapes as you play the pentatonic shape. Okay, so this is the minor pentatonic. Okay, this is the A minor pentatonic. So if you look at the note, every note after the R is the 3rd. So basically, the way we can think of the minor pentatonic is root, 3, 4, 5, and 7. All right. Oops, that's not what I want to do. 3, 4, 5, 7. All right. You can think of it that way. It's minor pentatonic, so you could also think of it as root, flat 3, 4, 5, and then flat 7. Okay. So, that's the minor pentatonic. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take that flat 3 and make it a major 3. That's the only difference between the minor pentatonic. So check this out. I'm going to drag, I did the same diagram, but I did it in the Mixo pentatonic. Trying to make it the same size here. Put it next door. Now, this is kind of where having all this extra real estate doesn't hurt. Okay, so hopefully I did this right, but you can start to, you can see, all I did was I took that note that's a C that's above or after the A note, the roots, all those A's, and that C note, and you go up a whole step. Now that makes it a little tougher, because now you've got this 4 fret spread instead of a 3 fret spread, right? But there are sections in there where it gets really tight, and oh, it looks like I missed a note, right? I missed a note. Yep, on the top string, 12th fret. Isn't that funny? I missed that. Is that the note? No, I missed the 10th fret. Dang it! I have to do these again. So just fill in that 10th fret on the first string. I just now noticed it. But like I really like this section of it here. So play this. You play the 5th fret on the 5th string, and then the 7th fret, and then the 5th and the 7th. So 5 7 5 7, and then 6 7. It's got a really cool tone to it, or a quality to it that you don't. It sounds 70. Yeah, see, the problem with that, Sam, is you have to do 2 things to make it work. And you don't want to flat the 3rd, you want to leave the 3rd the way it is. And the major pentatonic, you have to get rid of the 2nd. So it's a lot farther to go to get the Mixolydian pentatonic from the major pentatonic. So what Sam's doing is he's taking the major pentatonic, the A major pentatonic, and then he's getting rid of the 2nd. He's adding the 4th, and he's taking the 6th up to the flat 3. See, that's 3 things you got to do. Actually, that's 4 things you got to do. I only have to do 1 thing. So I would definitely just think minor, because you only have to do 1 thing, and that's take the 3rd up, the flat 3 up to a regular 3. Yeah. But Sam likes to look at things from every angle. So that's Sam. Are you an engineer or something? I forget what you do, but it's definitely probably a Greek thing. Okay, so let's play through this. And here's the thing, like Lena, if you're playing along, and I know some of the stretches here, Kathy too, difficult for you. You don't have to stretch, okay? When you're playing pentatonic scale, you can actually move your hand. So we're going to hit the 1st finger on the 5th fret of the bottom string, and then we're going to get the 9th fret with our pinky. Okay? And see, I'm just moving my whole hand. I'm not doing that. I don't have to. I can if I want to show off. But yeah, I can move my whole hand just to get that note. All right? And this is just to run through the scale, and so we can play through it, so you can visualize in the 5th position all the notes we would play. Okay? But then when the rubber meets the road and you're actually trying to maybe do something over a dominant 7th chord, you might not go to that one. You might even play it right there, which is a lot easier. Well, I'll show you that in a second. Let's go through it. Start on the bottom again, 5th fret and then 9th fret. And then we're going to go 5 7 5 7. So that part of it's just like the pentatonic. Yeah, Lena, you never have to like reach for something. And you could grab it there, but that if you're going to grab the C sharp there at the 4th fret of the 5th string, you're going to have to maybe start on your 2nd. And you're going to have a shift. Okay, so right now what we're doing is we're going to be kind of pure positional playing, and so we're going to assign our 1st finger to the 5th fret and every time. So 5 9, and then 5 7 5 7 5. So 5 7 5 7. Okay, so 5th fret, 7th fret, 5th fret, 7th fret on the 5th string and the 4th string, and then we get to the 3rd string, and now we're going to go 6 7, and that's where the magic happens. Normally you would be. Right? That little bit of the pentatonic scale is super easy. You've done it. And that's that flat 3 where we want. You want to give that C natural a little bit of a pull towards the floor to give it a kind of a blues, or a push up if you're on the high one. Little BB King action. Okay? But we don't have that note anymore. Now we have the note that we are kind of alluding to when we bend that C natural up. Rarely do we actually get to the C sharp. We kind of go halfway there. That's kind of the blues thing. Oud music, Middle Eastern music, is just basically the blues. I'm kidding. But they do have a lot of middle notes in there, okay? Hey, Phil Tay, what's going on? That's exactly what I said. I said, this scale reminds me of Jeff Beck and Eric Johnson. I heard Eric Johnson do it one time. That, and I was like, what scale is that? That's really cool, you know? And Jeff Beck uses this scale a lot. It always makes me think of Jeff Beck. I love this scale. And so the left scale there, just so if you're just now joining us, the left scale is the pure minor pentatonic that we all know. And I missed a note, dang it, right there at the 10th fret of the first string on both of those diagrams. I may have to go back and redo these to post them on Discord. It took a minute to do these, but I think I can just drag these in and put a new dot there and then take a picture of it, screen grab it. So anyway, I apologize. But yeah, so the first one is just the minor pentatonics. That's very, very, very common. First scale you learn. You want to learn all 5 of those shapes. If you're just beginning electric guitar and you want to get into soloing, that's really the first place you start. Pentatonic, particularly minor pentatonics, the same as major pentatonics, but they're the same shape. So you're not learning something new with major pentatonic. You're just moving them around so that they become major. That's the amazing thing about these scales. So they're very movable, and you can play them in odd ways. And we're going to talk about that when I talk about the minor pentatonic scale. But today we're talking about the Mixolydian pentatonic scale. And so then the second scale there you see is the changes we made. And all I did was every C natural there was moved up to C sharp. So it looks a little weird. You're like, whoa, that's a weird. But in there is almost, it's 80% of the pentatonic scales. And then 20% is new notes, okay? So, yeah, I'll drag those. Phil, I hate to drag those over to the Discord yet, but if you haven't joined the Discord, join the Discord. When I'm done here, I'll redo these. I mean, I can drag them over now, but I'm going to delete them. Let's see, I got to go to the Discord. It's going to beep as soon as I log in here. Tom, so it's the tab is Tom's lesson PDFs. All right, so I'll drag those over so you can grab those and print them up right now, both of them. But know that they're not correct, exact 100%. I mean, it's just one note. I'm so bummed. Anyway, okay. All right, so Phil, they're up there in the Discord. So go there and get all of the PDFs from, and they're actually pings, but all the PDFs from all the lessons. This is lesson 266. So you got 266 lessons worth of PDFs up there to grab. So hopefully that helps. Oh, interesting. Sawadi Raga from, yeah, that makes sense. Discord link is pinned up there. At the very top of the chat. I don't know if you can see that, but that's the Discord link. Okay, so, all right. So let's finish playing this out, okay? So so far we've done 5, 9, 5, 7, 5, 7, 6, 7. And then we're going to do 5, 8 like we did before, and then 5, 9. Because whatever we do on the top string is going to mirror whatever we did on the bottom string and vice versa, okay? So all together. But I don't normally play like just through the scale like that. I usually just play in little sections of it. But let's go ahead and play it again all the way through, and then we'll do it all the way descending. We'll start ascending again and go descending. Okay, 5, 9. You can move your whole hand. You don't need to stretch, okay? And then 5, 7, 5, 7, 6, 7. On the second string, 5, 8, and then 5, 9. Okay? And if you want, you can see this A7 chord here. Okay? So that A7 chord, I'm playing a bar chord. A7, it's 5 7. Oops, 5 7 5 6 5 5. All right, so there's our A7 chord. Oh yeah, we got 35 people on. That's awesome. That's more than normal. Come on, everybody, join up, hang out, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Always appreciate that. Yeah, usually just Bruce, I try to put them up while we're doing the lesson, so you guys can print them up and whatever. You could even probably drag these two images onto one, Word doc and then print that so you have it right in front of you. If you do that, make a big black circle on the 10th fret of the top string on both of those diagrams for me. I'm going to do that and re-up it after we're done if I remember. I'll probably forget. We'll get sidetracked and I'll totally forget. Hey, Quail, what's going on? So let's do it again and we'll go descending. Sorry. 5 9 5 7 5 7 6 7. That's the magic right there. 5 8 and then 5 9. And backwards would be 9 5 8 5 7 6 7 5 7 5 and then 9 5. Thanks, Bill. Okay, now I don't have it written here, okay, but check this out. I'm going to go back and forth between A Mixolydian Pentatonic and D Mixolydian Pentatonic. And so what I'm basically is I'm envisioning this chord here, okay, and again, like I said, there are two ways to arrive at this this pentatonic scale. One is to take the minor pentatonic and just raise that third. So raise, in this case, C to C sharp, and you get the new scale. The other way to do it is to, if you know how to play an A7 arpeggio, which would be A, C sharp, E, and G, then play that, but just add the 4. Okay. Same thing's true if I'm playing D7. If I'm playing D7, I might go right here at the 5th fret. All right, so I'd be nothing on the bottom string, and then 5 7 5 7 5. Okay, let me write that out real quick. John, thank you so much. God bless you. D7. X 5 7 5 7 5. Okay, that's just the basic A form. I say A form because it looks like an A chord. Like if you play A7, right? It'd be 0 2 0 2 0. That's an A form D7 chord. Okay. So the D Mixolydian Pentatonic, starting on the 5th string, will be 5 9 5 7 5 7 7 8. That's the hard part right there. And then on the top string, 5 8, and then if you want, there's your D up there about the 10th fret that I didn't write in this stupid diagram. Oops, yeah. Okay, now the reason I'm showing you that, okay, in the blues, for example, it's just one example, the blues, you're going to go from the 1 chord, in this case might be A, to the 4 chord. It's one of the first things that happens in blues. You got, right, back to the 1, sits there for a minute, and then it goes back to the 4. So, of the 12 bars, 11 of them are either the 1 chord or the 4 chord. Then you go to the 5 chord here. Well, you might go to 5 chord twice. Then you got the 4 chord. You might go to the 5 right there. So 2 of the 12 bars are an E7 chord. But 10 of the 12 chords or bars are D7 and A7 in the key of A. If you're playing, the 1 and the 4 chord. Okay. So being able to play over the 1 and seamlessly going back and forth between the 1 and the 4 chords is a very good skill to have. And so using these two scales, the A Mixolydian Pentatonic and the D Mixolydian Pentatonic. And there's not a whole lot of difference between those two. Let me write out the notes here so you can see them. The A, I'm going to just say A, M, P. Looks like I'm saying amp, but that's A, C sharp, D, E, and G. And then D, M, P, Mixolydian Pentatonic, is D, F sharp, G, A, wait, D, F sharp, G, A, C, yeah, okay. So, yeah, you can see if you compare those two scales, they both have an A, they both have a D, and let's see. That's it. So there's not a lot of commonality between the two scales. But let me play over that simple progression. I've just got two pads, one A7. Oh wait, here. A7. And I could slow this down. Let me see. What if I go to like 80? Give myself a little more time. Both have G's too. Okay, I'm too loud, sorry. I probably just got turned down a little bit. So basically the idea is that it's just another weapon, another tool to use in a blues context. That could be a soul thing. You know, there's a lot of R&B songs that. Let's see, do I have a clean sound load? What's this? Not that. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm still learning the microphone on this and I can turn this down. Well, let's see. Check 1 2. Yeah, I turned it down. So I just got a new camera and it has a mic built in, and I don't know how it's, I don't know what it sounds like. So, but I did cut my woofer with a knife, with a razor blade. And I'm almost out of coffee. Dang it. Okay. So, yeah, and like in that, you know, I could even, in kind of a jazz context too. what's going on? Simon Templar. Yeah, although the guitar is funny because it's like it really clashes with the shirt. Just like I couldn't pick like a worse color to go with a you know. And I'm not a fan of like weird colored guitars. I mean, for the most part, most of my guitars are either black or sunburst or something, you know, or natural. But this was the only one they had, and I really liked this guitar, so I got this in '97. I've had this guitar for 25 years. I got it because I was going on the road to teach clinics, and I wanted to have a guitar that would actually do some, I could do rock and funk and everything on. So, oh, are we lagging? Yeah, I also wonder if this camera, if I have the too high a quality bit rate or whatever, not bit rate, but you know, so because it looks clearer here than the iMac built-in camera, which was from 2014. So this is a brand new Logitech camera. So yeah, my inner jam band, exactly. Dennis, made it. So basically, if you can take, and again with this Mixolydian Pentatonic, there's basically 5 shapes. As you go up and down the neck, especially if you go ahead and just religiously make sure that you're doing 2 notes per string, you're going to find that you're going to create, and there'll be sections of it that you just really like. That actually just sounds great. You know, visualize like the C7 chord, D7, E7, F7, G7, A7. Okay, so that's an A7 chord. This is another A7 chord here. Take D7, E flat 7, E7, F7, G7, A7. So you can see it here. And when you have, just like if you played an A minor chord at the 5th fret, you would have 50% of your minor pentatonic notes. If you played A7, if you know A7's up and down the fretboard, then you'll know 50% of your Mixolydian pentatonic notes. See, there's the 5, and here's 5, 9, sorry, 5, 7, 5, 7. You can see that this note, this note, this note, this note, this note, this note are all in this scale. So just finding the chord is a great place to start if you're trying to suss out these that might not be a bad practice thing too. Whenever you practice a scale, go ahead and play a chord at the beginning and the end. Play the A7 chord and then go D7. Just so you can kind of center yourself and make sure you have that the positional thing going on where you know where to position the scale, but then also you can kind of see, oh, okay, there's the 5th. I want to hear the 3rd. See, with the minor pentatonic over the A7, you're actually playing notes that are not in the chord, which is part of the charm of playing a minor pentatonic over a major chord, because it creates that rub that creates that blues sound, right? If I did this progression, yeah, I can just play minor pentatonic over both those chords. It's a little bit of a stretch. blues players do it all the time, but they just keep it simple. And I may do a video on that. I should do a video on that. It was actually one of the best lessons I learned from Guitar Player Magazine years and years ago, and it was kind of the same thing I'm doing right here. In fact, they did that very thing here, where I changed one note to make the new scale. And what they did was they had this progression. It was like A7, D7, or D9 to F minor, or F9 to E sharp 7. So it was like. And how can you change the scale, the basic minor pentatonic, to just change one note to accommodate all 4 of those chords? And it was a really cool lesson, and it really taught me. Again, everybody's always looking for that magic bullet. Like, how can I be a good player? And they think that there's one thing that they learn that will make it like, oh, well, now I'm a really good player. It's like, I wish it were that simple. I'm still looking for that magic bullet. I certainly kind of tried to find that thing when I was working on playing note in jazz and bebop. And, a lot of it is just, if you just played jazz and bebop for 20 years, you're probably going to just be able to play jazz and bebop. But because I'm always trying to play all these different styles on all these different instruments, I have to sometimes, like, I don't want to say take shortcuts. There are no shortcuts, but I don't really have like the same facility I would like to have in every genre that I play in. That was one of the things. Is like what I'm doing here is like take something really well. Like I said with Pat Metheny, he would take this. He knows the pentatonic. We all know the pentatonic shapes. A minor pentatonic. Well, A minor pentatonic, and I'm going to talk about this when I talk about the minor pentatonics. Oh, you're talking about my house. Yeah. I've got 2 rooms and 3 closets of guitars. So it pays for the house. So it's a big house. It's 60,000 square feet. So it's not 60,000 square feet. Imagine the power bill for that. It's like, yeah, here's the one thing. That's right. The ads all say that. You're right. Oh, I hate those ads. Yeah, and they always come up on my videos too. It's like, here's the one thing you need to learn. It's like, oh, okay, it's one thing I need to learn. No, and I do say, I have the 2 most important things, right? The most important thing to work on if you're an acoustic player, and the most important thing to work on if you're an electric player. And I'll say it in every lesson, but it's just the number 1 thing. It's not the only thing. It's not like the list stops at 1. You don't have a list with 1 thing on it. That's not a list. That's just a command or something. But so again, if you're wondering, generally, my main goal with kids that want to play, when I was teaching, kids want to play electric guitar, like learn your fretboard, learn every note on your fretboard. You'll never forget it once you know it, and you'll use it all the time, because if you're figuring out a song and it's like, what note is that? What's that starting note? Well, it's an E. So if you're trying to tell someone else, piano player, whatever, what note you're playing, if you know that this note is an E, then you can say that. But if you don't know what note it is, you're like, I don't know, it's this note. And the piano player's got to go, oh, there's E. Okay. Got it. So, it's one of those things where to me, that will help you learn scales, that will help you learn chords up and down, because if like this is an A chord, and this is A, you know what notes are, you can analyze your chords if you know all the notes on the neck. You can go, okay, let me make a list of all the notes in this chord. It's A, E, G, C sharp, E, and A. Oh, I've got 2 E's and A's, so there's really only 4 notes in this chord. You're thinking, oh, this is a very complex chord. It's 6 notes. Well, it's only, if I were making just A major, it would only be 3 notes, really. You're playing 6 notes, but you're only playing 3 notes, A, C sharp, and E. And what that, you know, learning your fretboard can help you understand theory, can help you understand harmony and all that stuff. And that's also important for acoustic guitar players, but the thing I always tell acoustic guitar players, you know, if you just, you know, wanting to bang out some G chords and C chords and E minor chords, everything like that, you're going to learn the chords when you learn songs. But one of the things that all acoustic guitar players do is they tend to learn that same chord, that strumming pattern. And you want to be able to, you know, or I mean, there's a million combinations. And one of the best ways to kind of arrive at some new strumming patterns is just to pull up random drum grooves in some loop library somewhere. You know, you can do it if you have a Mac. You can go to GarageBand and just drop a drummer in there and have some random drum loop and try to imitate it. Like I have this loop right here. You hear the kick. You listen to the hi-hat. Is the hi-hat playing 8th notes or 16th notes? That's going to determine if you're playing 8th notes or 16th notes in the right hand. And that's what I, tell, like I listen to the piano player's right hand to figure out what I'm doing, but I listen to the drummer's right hand to figure out my rhythm. Bass players, they listen to the piano player's left hand to get their notes, but they listen to the drummer's right foot to get their rhythm. And so that's, when you're playing with a band, those are the kind of things you want to take into consideration. Oh, I know, there's no volume. Yeah, I don't have it up, because otherwise it would be just nasty. Yeah, the guitar volume was off, yeah. Yeah, and you know what the funny thing is that the best solos aren't just scales. I mean, the thing you want to do when you learn scales, and I haven't really talked about this too much, is you want to find a lot of ways to navigate scales. Like for example, I don't know, it's like I got a distorted. What is that? Groupings of 4? That was descending groupings of 4, so I'm going C, B, A, G, B, A, G, F, A, G, F, C. But I wouldn't use that in a solo per se, but the dexterity I derive from doing those kind of patterns would come in handy. The finger ability that you learn from that. But I might do something like, it's funny because the grouping of 4 where you go, instead of going back 2 notes, that's 2 notes back, so I'm going C, B, A, G, up to B. If you just go back 1 note to A, that's the Popeye, right? Or the sailor's horn, or whatever what's that called? Right? And that's almost a faster way to play down a major. These are diatonic scales. These are 7-note scales I'm playing right now. But that's just right there's two ways. I could do three down in groups of three. I could do that with pentatonics too. Probably makes more sense since we're talking about pentatonics. That's grouping to three. Grouping to four would sound like this. Oh, sorry. And groupings of four are kind of hard because you got to lay down fingers to get the next note. I'll have to check out Kenny's book. Sailor's Hornpipe. Thank you. Is that what it's called? Yeah, something like that. Sorry, Phil. Let me grab that. Whatever. Hey, we got 37 people on board. Welcome, everyone. And I actually, jazz pianist. Okay, I actually, when we lived in Pasadena, we had. Thank you, Holly. Appreciate it. Hey, Izzy's in the house. Mamba, what's going on? When we lived in the building in Pasadena, I was managing the building. I had a kind of a run of, I think I had four. At one time, I had four guitar majors from USC living in the building because we were wasn't exactly close to USC, but it was a better neighborhood than where USC was. So, and you could just take the 110 freeway right down to school. So depending on when you went, it wasn't a horrible commute. Jack did it. Jack lived in the building. Our son went to USC. That's why I got a USC shirt. So there was one guy named John Brennan, really good jazz guitar player, and he had these scales and things he would do. He would do the bebop scale, and he had so many ways to play stuff. Like I said, when you do that descending groups of four in pentatonic, like he would have so many variations on ways to play certain phrases that he basically got to the point where he could play any phrase anytime he wanted if he heard it. Again, the goal is to hear it here and then play it here, not to just go, I learned some scales and licks, I'm going to play licks. No, you want to create the melodies in your head, which is completely limitless, and then have your hands be able to play whatever you hear in your head. That's why you kind of practice scales. So, can you combine the mixo with a blues scale? You could. You might do it with you might do it a couple different ways. You could add the major seventh like that to kind of give it a, I don't know, that sounds more like a horn section thing. Yeah, it's like one of my favorite licks to do is from Blue Monk. Oh wait, that's not Blue Monk. That's shoot, what's that called? Well, that is Blue Monk. But yeah, that if you add the blues note to this scale, you're getting that every note from the major third, C sharp to the E, which is kind of a jazzy or almost a jazzy blues sound, right? But you could totally add that note. So that if you added the flat five, so you end up with the 3, the 4, the flat 5, and the 5, it ends up with 4 chromatic notes right there. So you could totally do that. But yeah, so the idea is, I like doing. Eric Johnson likes to do groups of 5. So you could do groups of 5, a couple. I'm talking about I could do it with the. You could either go. You could go down 5 and up 4, or down 5 and up 3. Okay, I know I'm confusing you, but down 5 would be this. Let's go to minor pentatonic, the one we should all know. If I go down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up 4, I'm going to go to that note. So like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's what I mean by down 5, up 4. So I'm just basically starting on this note, going down 5, going to this note, 5. I'm just doing the scale really slow, descending. But I'm adding all those other notes in between. That's it. Don't really practice that. I should probably, maybe when I'm warming up, I could do something like that. But then if I go, so that you can see how long it takes to get that, because when I add all those notes up, there's 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. I might finish with a 6 from here. So basically, that's 6 times 5, which is 30, plus another 6. That's 36 notes. Finishing off, I could go. Then that would be 5 times 8, and that would be 40 notes. But if I go down 5 and then up 3, 1, 2, 3. It's hard because you got to lay your finger down to get this to start that next group of 5 just descending. But Eric Johnson does that one a lot. I hear that one. He does that a lot. And it just sounds cool. And you're going down so much faster when you're cutting out half of the notes. So it's kind of cool. Oh, John says, my way of memorizing the modes is to relate them back to the major scale from which they derive from, or they're related to, and then start at the note of the parent major scale to derive the corresponding mode. I think I understand. Yeah, but again, you know, my thing is, it's, you think you're doing a shortcut, but B Mixolydian is really different from E major. Even though they have the exact same notes, their use is very different. For example, if I go back to this, and that's just the A7 chord. And if I think, oh, well, that's in a key of D. That's the 5 chord in the key of D. Doesn't work. It's just too D major centric. I hope that's not too loud. Is that better volume wise? But if I think the same notes, I'm thinking A Mixolydian. So I would probably be more likely to think, okay, so A Mixolydian is A major with a flatted 7th, okay? And when I teach modes, I talk about that. I say because A Mixolydian is A major with a flatted 7th. A Lydian is A major with a raised 4, okay? And then we learn the A minor scale, which is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, just the alphabet. When you do that, A minor, you go, oh, what's A Phrygian? Well, A Phrygian is A minor with a flat 2. oh, what's A Dorian? Oh, well, A Dorian is an A minor with a sharp 6 or raised 6, a natural 6. And so, yeah, you can change one note to go from A minor to 2 of the other minor keys, and you can change one note to go from A major to 2 of the the other 2 major keys. So A major would be the kind of the home key in some ways, and then one note away you can make A Mixolydian, and one note away you can make A Lydian. To think the relative major is good if you want to tell, because people are going to say, what key is this song in? And you're going to say, well, technically it's in the key of E. We just did a song at church that was, the whole song, I kid you not, was, let me go with a cleaner sound, was G flat. Well, it was, for some reason they had it in G flat, should have been F sharp, but it was F sharp to A, I'm sorry, to E, to B over D sharp back to E. It's basically the melody. Kind of a gospel thing. Okay, well, the chart said it was in the key of G flat, which it's not. It's actually in the key of B. But you want to end on G flat. For example, if you're a very common chord progression, we have to turn down. E, A, D, A, right? That's a very common R-C-K in the USA, R-C-K in the USA. Well, that's high. Neil Diamond, Cherry Baby, R-O-C-K in the USA. You know you. So you want to share? Up there, all around, talk about your romance. But there's a million like 60s and even 80s rock songs that use those 3 chords. Well, that's technically in the key of A, but you don't want to end on an A chord, right? Thank you. Good night, everyone. No, it ends on an E chord. And also, if you were to solo over that, yeah, you could go A scale. But not even an E Mixolydian is going to sound good over this. You know, E Mixolydian, it might, yeah, it works okay. But E blues is probably going to be the best thing to do over that. So you're going to really want to think of that progression as being an E progression, not an A progression, and that confused me for years as a you know, kind of an educated jazz guitar player and classical guitar player. I'm like, no, that song's an A, and this is a part of the problem. Like, I played in a band in Indiana, and the sax player got his degree in music at Butler, where I went to school, and he could play horn parts like if it was a soul song, like we did a lot of soul reviews. We did a lot of like, you know, like Blues Brothers type stuff. And he could play all the horn section stuff, sounded amazing. He would do all the charts for the horn players. We had sax, a couple trumpets sometimes, or one trumpet. And, you know, he would fill it out really nice with all that. And, but when it came down to solo, he would try to solo in the relative major key of these progressions, and it, you make me want to shout. So, you know, over the A7, he's like soloing in D major, so he's playing a C, you know, you're like, and then over the D7, he'd be like, go to G major, and it just wouldn't work. You just play an A blues. It's fine. A blues will work. So that's, Hello, Barry. What's going on, Steve? Oh, see you later, Bruce. He's probably already gone. I think, Bruce, you're going up north, or are you up north? Was he up north now, or he just drove to Texas? I don't know if he's I don't think he's driving all the way up to the East Coast, or up to. He goes up to the Northeast. East Coast is kind of a really long coast. It's like the West Coast. People say West Coast, they almost always think of Los Angeles, though. But I guess some people think of San Francisco when they think of the West Coast, or Seattle. The funny thing is that Seattle isn't on the ocean. I always think of Seattle being on the ocean, but it's not. It's on the bay, right? Puget Sound. It's on the Sound. So yeah, so keys of songs can be kind of deceptive sometimes when, and almost always the simplest way to think about something, or the most caveman way to think about something, is the way to go. Blues will almost always work in a lot of contexts, and it's a great fallback on. That's why the pentatonic scales. And like I said, when I saw Pat Metheny, and he's like, he's playing over. Like you can play this A minor over a lot of chords. You can play that over an F major 7. You can play it over a B flat major 7, which is weird because you're like, B flat major 7, not even close to C, A minor. But it has some great notes in it that are like, whoa, those sound super out or super jazzy or whatever. So, oh wow, oh yeah, it's muggy. It's muggy in Michigan. Yeah, I think we were supposed to hit 95 yesterday, but it never got up to in fact, it's cloudy today. Because the cloud cover, it never got past 91, I think. So they had to revise. I love it when it's like, it's like 80 and it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's like, it's not going to hit 96. What are you talking about? So it's funny too, because it's like beat red, 96. I'm like, yeah, it used to be like 96 was a nice day. Now it's like, oh my God, it's so hot. So, all right. Yeah, I can hit show on that. All right. So any other questions? You can, like I said, I'll try to fix this. I missed a note on this scales. I'm surprised nobody it was somebody maybe did point it out. I just didn't see it. But yeah, so like I said, there's again, play the scale, or play the chord and then play the scale on top of it. Yeah, you always want to take the dogs out early because the sidewalk gets so hot. You don't want them to get little burns on their paws. They'll get those blisters if you don't take them out early. And late too, early and late. That's why we don't have dogs. Walking the dog. We have a big backyard though, so I think I would just let the dog out and I'd just clean up after him. So yeah, because we have a 60,000 square foot house. So yeah, can you believe? Speaking of 60,000 square foot house, can you believe that what was the Mega Millions got up to 1.3 billion? Of course, the cash option, which I think everybody takes, right? Does anybody do the 30-year thing? I don't know. I don't trust the government to be consistent with that. I would think that like, we forgot this year. You forgot $10 million or whatever it is. It would be 30 million a year. Would that be 30 million? That would be 30 million a year for 30 years. Is that right? Something like it's crazy. 1.3 million or billion. The cash out is 700 million or whatever. But after the Fed and the state takes theirs, it's probably down to 350. So, especially in Illinois, because the ticket was won in Illinois. It's like, can you immediately move to another state? Can you immediately move to Nevada or Texas or Florida where they don't have income tax? Oh, you are in Maine for 3 weeks. Oh, you're there now. Okay, awesome. Did you fly up, Bruce? I'm still talking about you. Okay, I'm gonna take off. Are you guys gonna talk about me? Oh yeah, I started to watch it. Yeah, it's a good. Yeah, that I was. Yeah, that I like that. You know, let's see. It's not that I thought he would have gone with Rosanna. It's a nice progression. I mean, when he played "Good," bum 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 bum, that song, good for you or good to you, could be good for you. I mean, that record, particularly hearing that song, because you hear Rosanna and Africa so much that it doesn't necessarily have the same triggers that, like, "Good for You," which is the first song on that record, has, for me in particular, because 1982, that record came out, and I wanted to be in LA. At that point, I had already gotten all 3 of their records, so I was waiting for this record to come out. And I wanted to be in LA doing what they were doing. So it was like this, devouring it to try to cull as much from that record as I possibly could. Harmonically, solo-wise, I transcribed all of, you know, when he played that solo to White Sister, that solo, I transcribed that thing, and I have, you know, I still have like stacks of papers of transcribed solos, and I did all of Lukather solos. I would buy the crappiest records just because Lukather did one solo on it somewhere on the record, so I could transcribe it. Or sometimes he played 5 or 6 solos on a record. It's like, oh my gosh, this guy could just rip. One of my favorite solos of his was "Talk to You Later" by the Tubes, and I met him at the first time I saw him. I met him at the NAMM show, not that long ago, actually. Well, it was pretty. Alex is probably 15. Or 14, so it would have been like 16 years ago. And I met him and I said, "Man, you're a big reason why I moved out here." And he's the one that said, "Well, I'm going to tell you what Larry Carlton told me when I first started doing studio work." He said, "Don't think, play." And that's exactly what Luke does. I mean, he just does the most melodic but busy. It's just like, that's it. There he goes up, so I forget. I'll still do like minor third bends, like if I'm in the key of, let's say A minor, right? I mean, one song he went like, I think it was like Razzmatazz by shoot, what's his name? Quincy Jones or something. He did like some of the most amazing. What do I need to understand the modes better? What should I read to understand the modes? I've been wanting to do a modes lesson, because I have this methodology, and if you go back, Catherine, to like the very beginning, my first 12, I think, videos I did, I talk about the modes. And basically, the modes are real easy to kind of see on the piano. And if you go C to C, white key, let's see, let me pull up the piano. That's a major scale, okay? And then I would write out, so I would write out C to C, and then I'd go down from the D, I'd go down below the D, and I'd write a D, and then I'd go D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. So I have a row C to C, and then below it a D to D, and that's a Dorian scale. So the second mode is a Dorian scale. So the first one's major. Pat Metheny would say, just play everything about Brussels sprouts, not peas and carrots. Interesting. And then if you start on E, you get E, F, G, A, B, again, all white keys. And you get, that's E Phrygian. And then you go F to F, and it starts out sounding like a major scale. And then there it doesn't, you know. And then you go G to G, and this one definitely sounds like a major scale until you get to the 7th note, and then it's like, oh, that's not major. Oh. I got a new keyboard and it's weighted, so I'm not used to it. So yeah, so I asked Luke about to talk to you later, and then A to A would be A minor, and B to B would be Locrian, and so then you start there, and then you analyze what are the whole steps and half steps on those scales. And then you take those formulas and you use it to make. I use it to make a C scale. So the formula for a D Dorian scale is whole, half, whole, 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 half, whole. And you do that with a C minor, and you get C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat, C. So now you have a C Dorian scale, and then you go, what's the formula for an E Phrygian scale? And you apply that starting on C. You go whole, half, whole, whole, and so on and so forth. And now you have a C Phrygian scale. And you do that with all the scales. And then you go back and analyze, what did you do to a C major scale to get this, and so forth and so on. So I asked Luke about that Talk to You Later scale and solo, and because he wrote that song, he co-wrote that. I think was it with David Foster and Fee Waybill, the lead singer for the Tubes. And he said that that was the first take, and the last note he was like, oh man, I went sharp, and they go, let me do it again. And they said they were like in the booth, they were like screaming and yelling and going, that's the most amazing solo ever. I wish I could play it, or else I get demonetized. But one of the things I learned from that solo, because I'm trying to figure out these solos. And one of the things that's hard about guitar, see, on piano you can figure out there's only one place to play this note. There's only one place to play that note. But on guitar, I could play that E here, here, and if I had 12 frets, I could play it up there too. So I could literally play that one note in 6 different places on the guitar, and I talk about this all the time. So it's really difficult to necessarily know. But one of the things that you could do, in fact, it's not a bad idea. I've talked about it before. I talked about it, I think, last week. But to try to play this A Mixolydian Pentatonic, for example, on the A string. And then maybe try to play it on the D string. It's kind of cool sounding. You can play it on the G string too. But it gives you a more thorough understanding of the scale, a more thorough understanding of your fretboard when you just don't play everything in position. Because I showed you how to play it in position, but that's not the only way to learn scales. You should learn them up and down one string. Because on that, he does that the solo's in B, I think. Whatever it does, but he does this thing where he's like down a B major scale. It's like shoot, I've been wrong. The Aerosmith, you know, that little bit of that's intro is all on one string, and so you kind of have to learn the string. Yeah, Pat Metheny would definitely find ways to play one thing 1,000 ways. It's amazing because he just, like most guitar players, spend a lot of time playing pentatonic, you know, minor scales, and you can kind of play them anywhere. And so that if you know ways to use them, like if you play over a A7 scale chord, you can play a B flat minor pentatonic and you get these weird like flat 9, third, flat 5, sharp 5, major 7th. That's a little on the weird side, but like what could I? It just sounds really out, which a lot of times in jazz you want to get out and then come back in. Yeah, so again, it's not my forte. I don't know that I have a forte anymore. I used to think, but yeah. So let's see, what time is it? Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's been almost 2 hours. Everybody doing well? We still got 20, 30 people watching. Well, hey there, how's it going? Pizza scale. Oh yeah, the bebop scale, I believe, is just a you can think of it as either a Mixolydian scale with a major 7th or a major scale with a dominant 7th, right? So if you don't know the bebop scale, for some reason I like to think of it as a Mixolydian scale with, I'll turn this down, a Mixolydian scale. One, 2, 3, 5, 6. Yeah, that's right. You can email me at tstrahle@gmail. But I think of that bebop scale, which is A, B, in A, over an A7 chord, it would be A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. I think of it as kind of a Mixolydian scale with a passing tone, right? That makes sense, Sam? Because to me, that you don't want to sit on that major 7th really. I mean, if you're playing, obviously, if you're playing over an A chord, major 7th, obviously. But but that's what bebop is. You know, you're gonna be playing over probably a dominant seventh a lot of dominant seventh chords. So the other thing though, I would add that flat 5, which gives you kind of a blues thing, but it gives you all of this, all that chromatic. So you're almost to a point of having a chromatic scale at this point. You got 10 notes out of 12. Only missing the B flat, yeah, and the C natural. So. But you know, sometimes to think scales is such a wrong way to think about soloing over anything. Some people will say, "Oh, you got to think about the arpeggios," you know, and you want to think, "Oh, okay, I'm going to add the sus4, 6, you know, 2 to the 1." And a lot of times, like if I'm thinking about like playing over gypsy jazz stuff, A minor 6. I think of neighboring tones over the you know, I visualize the triad, or just the minor chord, and then hey Mandy, I saw your message, but I was doing my live stream. That's probably why you're probably texting me, aren't you? And I'm not seeing it because I'm doing my live stream. Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, no worries. You let me know. Yeah, kind of the Octopus's Garden kind of vibe too. Yeah, it's just kind of a. Chromatic scales are great to practice. They're hard to play because they're easy because it's this 4-finger kind of thing. But it's the going across the strings that seems to be more. George Benson used to do it, like he was playing over an A minor chord, or D minor 9, like start on the 9th and on the 7th. Yeah, something about playing 4 notes per string is just not. Benson is just so good at going back and forth between major and minor. He would do that. I'm going to talk about that when we do the. Mandy is one of the worship leaders at my church. So, and she's also an excellent piano player, and I need a sub for later in the month. And so she's my number 2 call. You're not the number 1 call. Mike can't do it, Mandy. So that's why I called you. But you're my number 2 call. So, so the if you were to take these, and again, I'll fix this diagram and repost them. But if you were to take these, the right, you know, the right shape here, this one, and look at it down, you know, in positionally, then you'll be able to see all the different, you know, the Mixolydian Pentatonics all there. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, not only melodies but rhythms. It's all part of the improvisational pie. And I used to be so into guitar players. Like Scott Henderson was kind of a little post what I was getting into. Even like, yeah, Steve Vai, and you know, it was like at that point I was kind of getting more into creating music and less into being a flashy guitar player. Maybe that was a byproduct of me realizing I'll never be as good as Steve Vai or as good as George Benson or as good as, well, name any guitar player. You kind of refocus, so you're not constantly disappointed in your abilities. Oh, nice. Thanks, Phil. You're almost Catholic, Sam. Joseph's chiming in on theology. Yeah, so you feel free to do. And again, this is a good progression or good scale to use to kind of bring a little bit of life to a very common 1/4 progression. The other thing is you don't have to play a lot of notes, you can play the same note. Joseph. It's fun to try to find these scales. You know, little snippets of the scales in different positions. I was fishing for compliments. Now it's hard too. I'll tell you one thing. I think I'm a better soloist in the context of making a record or like in what I'm soloing more now on is like rock soloing on Apex Legend themes and stuff. They really like it when I get to do some crazy rock solo, and I've done some pretty crazy things. Generally, when I'm doing that, I'll do 5 or 6 takes, and a lot of times when I'm soloing, I'll stand up because I find that I don't know that I play better standing up, but I play a little bit more emotional, a little bit more dramatic when I'm standing up, and so a lot of times I could do a whole session. We're doing a bunch of rhythm stuff, and I'm sitting down, but when it comes time to do a solo on a track, I'll stand up. It serves 2 purposes. One, I think it just feels like you're soloing when you're standing up, and it feels less like a solo when you're sitting down. So there's a kind of for me, an emotional connection there, a better connection. And then the other thing, visually, from the perspective of the people hiring me, you know, I've said this before, I could do the identical solo, and if I'm sitting down and just kind of doing the solo like this and like that, they'll be like, oh, that's great. I do the identical solo, note for note, nothing changed. Everything could be identical. You could compare the files and they would be identical. But I'm standing up, I'm doing this, they'll be like, that's amazing. So as Paul Anka says, and I've quoted him 1,000 times here, as people hear what they see. And so almost every artist that's successful has learned that lesson. If you go to any concert anywhere, whether, I don't care if it's Justin Bieber or Bonnie Raitt, they know that they pay attention to what the perspective is of the audience, the perception of the audience visually. They want it to sound great, but they're very aware of what is the audience is, because they're hearing with their eyes basically. So the schism in 1054. It's funny because there's a resurgence in California of Greek Orthodox. I have 2 different friends of ours. Their families have started going to Greek Orthodox church. They really like it. So I've heard some, different things that they do in their service that's really interesting. So, if I didn't work at a church every weekend, I would probably go check out a lot of different just denominations just for education's sake. So, you told him that, Catherine? Yeah, it is funny, right? Yeah, it's like, yeah, I know the guy that plays all the guitars on that. Yeah, Tom Strahle. It's like, yeah, sure, whatever, lady. It is funny, though, because I just spoke for when was that? What was it? Last Tuesday? Is it Tuesday? No, see, Beth got back. It was last Wednesday I spoke for this, in Hollywood, for this youth group where I was interviewed, and the Bieber stuff, they're like, yeah, whatever, these kids were like 15, 16, 17, 18, and they're like, yeah, whatever, and then when they mentioned Apex Legends, what, you did Apex Legends? It was so funny. It's like such a big game. The food is better too. Yeah, I'm not big on potlucks. As that's one of the advantages to working at a mega church. They don't do potlucks, so you don't have to worry about like eating something like someone made in their kitchen that hasn't been rated by the health department. Would get an F. Yeah, I'm not good at that. So. Oh yeah, not on any social media. Oh, you need to. Oh, you could totally put the link there. People will save it. So anyway, so I'm going to sign off here. Well, how many people we have? Was it? Yeah. Any other questions? All right. Oop. All right. Cool. Yeah, so, thanks, Joseph. Thanks for the coffee. Appreciate it. Also, John, also, thank you. I think John's gone. Phil Tay, no worries, man. Yeah, you can email me at tstrahle at gmail.com. So you can hit me up there. And I don't check it every day. I don't have it set to notify my phone because I hate, I don't have hardly any notifications turned on my phone. Alex, man, his phone is constantly doing stuff because he's got his Instagram for his work and Facebook and Twitter and all those. They're all turned on, so it can be kind of a challenge. So let's see what else is going on. Yeah, I mean, it's Phil. It's rare that I ever get asked to play like Scott Henderson. I mean, more. Well, the thing is, people hire me now, which is nice. People hire me because they're hiring me. They want me to sound like me. They don't. So I have a sound I don't realize I have, but I do, and it's the people that hire me know it more than I know it, which is funny. I know people that worked really hard. I think Lukather figured this out when he was 17. He had a sound and a style, and that was it. But again, I don't know how much he created it, or it was just how he played. You're an amalgam of all your influences. Whether in my case, it could be piano players, sax players, guitar players, flute players, it doesn't matter. They're all contributing to how I think on the guitar and stuff. So if you only have guitarist influences, you might, not be as unique as someone who kind of inserts other types of instruments in their influences. But nobody, I might get asked to sound like, oh, can you do like a Jimi Hendrix thing here? I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do that. Or a Jimmy Page thing. They might say, oh, we want to kind of go Zeppelin. Okay, I got that. I got you, or we may want to go Queen. We want to sound a little bit like Brian May. Is it Brian? Isn't it Brian May? No, not Brian. I can't think of who it. Yeah, we are slaves to our phone. No, see, I have notifications turned off, so I don't get any. I don't generally get any notifications. People call me and they're like, "Oh, shoot, I missed a call." Text, I'll get notifications. My computer gives me notifications, but it's just for my private phone number, and I can weed out people too, so I do that. What classical guitar do you have behind? Okay, this is an Asturias. I'll type it in here. I can give you the model number. I don't think they're very expensive. And let's see, what does it say? C150S. C150S. I would love to get a really nice classical guitar, but those I could easily spend, $8 to $10 grand on a nice classical guitar. And I don't have a thumbnail right now, so that's kind of frustrating. You can tell I've been playing electric. The neck's wider. No thumb. Yeah, it's a very nice, it records really well. It's hard to record a nylon guitar. It's real boomy. That note right there on all classical guitars, the A on the D string is really loud. So you really have to almost play that note, that's one note you have to play softer than all the others, which is really difficult to do. Let me look it up and see if I find one on Reverb. I think you can also click on recently sold. My nephew got one. I don't know if he got this one. No. I don't know if they're still making them. Here's an AST80 for $1,000. This is similar to mine. This one's $1,500. Here's a 2020 for $2,400. So I guess they're kind of going, I should probably insure it for more. I don't think mine is as old as a 79, but maybe it is. Here's a custom C for $3,000. I don't know, maybe I'm making them popular again. Mine is definitely mine's a cedar top, so that's why it's kind of orangey looking. Yeah, Yamaha was my first classical guitar. I had a Yamaha classical guitar for a long time, and then I got that one when I started gigging. But I went to college with the Yamaha classical, so it was no shame in it. It definitely Brian May, yeah. So I was right. Let's see. Oh, Sam doesn't even own one of those. Yeah, the rest of us all get brain tumors, but Sam won't. Yeah, no, it's yeah, and that one plays okay. I try not to mess with it too much. I jacked up my Ramirez by trying to adjust the height, and so I had it reset up recently. And it's high, but it's not as, you know, I had it set too low before, so it took me a minute to get used to. But my Ramirez is a flamenco, which I use more for strumming and Spanish stuff and rasgueados and all that. And I've got that wedding. That's why the classical is out, because I got that wedding. I've got to rehearse. See, again, that's the other thing. You know, well, $500 for a wedding or whatever you get paid, $1,000 for a wedding. Yeah, but I've got to pull the guitar out. I got to run through. I got a ton of music here. I want to have some pieces that I'm comfortable with. I don't mess up. Oh, we're getting spotted again. Somebody got it before me. So, oh. There we go. All right. Hey. Nobody, what's going on? Long time no see. Yeah, I mean, like I said, the Yamaha guitars are not bad. I mean, especially even the acoustic guitars. The one thing I would recommend on, like, with the Yamaha acoustics is, see, for one thing, on acoustic guitar, you at least want to have the top be solid wood. So solid spruce generally is the most common thing. I mean, they still make laminated tops, you know, and those they're going to be dead sounding. So you probably immediately notice when you pick up, like, wow, this thing sounds dead. So solid top. The back and sides are not as critical, because, I mean, if we're talking under $500, if we're talking under a $300 guitar, you're not going to get solid back or sides. $500, you're probably going to have to go up to $2,000 to get solid sides. You know, back maybe, but solid sides, it's not going to happen. But one of the things you can do is save some, to get a better guitar for the money, is don't, like, worry about gold hardware. Like, just chrome is fine. Like, if it's $30 extra to get the gold, you know, tuners, don't do it. Just get the chrome tuners, and maybe spend go for the next guitar up with chrome tuners that, you know, is a better piece of wood, or more, maybe a solid back or something like that. You can also get, you know, not have all the abalone in the fretboard, you know, fancy, you know, I mean, you'll notice most of my guitars just have, I mean, the Fender, the Squier has the trapezoids, but most of them are just dots on the, I don't want, you know, I don't need like I don't want to pay extra to have birds on my fretboard, or I don't care about that stuff. Now, again, I'm also just playing here in my studio mostly. So if you're a performing artist, then maybe, again, to kind of apply my, you know, people hear what they see meme, then you might want to get a guitar that's flashier. If you can have your name put on the fretboard if you want, that's going to cost extra. But, you know, that would cost you an extra $500, and you could take that $500 and get a $500 better instrument. So I played the acoustic Strat at the NAMM show. I can't think of any time when I would use it. There was a time when I was leading worship when Bob Taylor came out with the T5 or whatever it was, the Taylor guitar that had acoustic pickup and electric pickups. And I could see, like, there were times where I was leading worship, where I was playing acoustic to start a song, and I wouldn't mind going to electric at some point. But, you know, when you're leading worship, you don't need distractions, and that kind of thing would have been a distraction. They're like, oh, okay, now I got to go to have my pedal board up here. You know, that's just not, I wasn't going to do that, so I would just have an acoustic guitar. So, yeah, I don't need a guitar that does both acoustic and electric. I don't really, usually when I'm recording guitar, I use a microphone, so I don't really like to use a pickup. There's times where I'll use a pickup for acoustic, but it's rare. Sometimes if I want to get a lo-fi acoustic sound, I'll use the pickup. When I recorded, we still mic'd it, but I did for St. Jude's Hospital, I did you can look it up, it's called Hey St. Jude, I think, on YouTube. And it's like all these celebrities like Jennifer Aniston and people that did, they sang Hey Jude poorly over our track that I produced with my friend Jeff. And I think my friend Jim got us the gig. And we were trying to get the acoustic guitar sound from Hey Jude. And we're you know, like I have my 60s Gibson out. I played, you know, that was the one that sounded the most like a Beatles acoustic. And but they always had the J100 with the pickup in it. I realized listening to it, I went, Jeff, I think they're going through a Fender twin amp. So we actually took the acoustic guitar that I'd recorded with a mic. We took that file and we dragged in basically an acoustic or an electric amp, a Fender twin amp. We put it in as a plug-in and added some spring reverb. And you know, we kind of tweaked the EQ a bit. And you know, I couldn't believe it, but that was the sound we were going for. So we got the acoustic sound pretty close, because I think they probably played the acoustic through, when they recorded it, they probably played it through an amplifier because they could. So yeah, I mean, I could see, you know, like it's skinny, so it's nice, and if you're plugged in anyway. I always say there's 3 guitar sounds. There's acoustic, there's electric, and then there's piezo acoustic or piezo electric, where the plug-in. So all those guitars, I don't care. You could have a $50,000 acoustic guitar. If you're going through the pickup and that's what people are hearing, it's going to sound the same as a $50 guitar through the pickup. Not going to sound better. It's all in the quality of the electronics and the pickups. Maybe some emulation built in there too. So yeah, I mean, my question is for those things: is you put electric strings on it, or do you put acoustic strings on it? Because they're going to play very different. They're going to feel very different. That was my issue with the T5. It's like, well, am I going to be strumming, or am I going to be bending strings? If I'm strumming it, I'm going to want big, heavy strings. If I'm going to be bending strings, I'm going to want skinnier strings. So, yeah. So you know, I don't really have an opinion on it. I'm not a Fender endorsee, but I do like Fender guitars in general. I'm a Strat guy, so that's my thing. But Holly's teacher has one, and she likes it. Or your IRL teacher. Oh, IRL guitar teacher. Okay. What does IRL stand for, Holly? Oh, good. I'm glad you're checking in on the videos, Nobody. My name is Nobody. And my coffee is almost gone. I'm getting a weird flash on my OBS software. Are you guys getting that, or is that just on my end? Just every now and then it like does a little flash. Yeah, it's definitely a niche instrument. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what niche I would use it in. I mean, the nice thing about acoustic is you can take it to the beach. That one doesn't make a sound at the, you know, it's not very loud, so you can't really take it to the beach. Oh, in real life. Oh, because in fake life, I'm the IFL. In fake life, Tom's my guitar teacher. But in real life, I've got a real teacher. You tune the whole D standard, you tune it down to the whole standard. Yeah, so I don't know. It's kind of sad that Fender's never really come out with a good acoustic guitar, and to me the Acoustasonic or whatever is kind of them giving up. You know, it's like, and it's also sad that Martin's never come out with a good electric guitar. So Gibson's the only one that's been able to kind of play both sides of the fence, but to be honest, I'm not a huge Gibson electric fan. I mean, I like my 335, and I like my SG, but I love my Strat, right? And then acoustic wise, I'm like, yeah, they're guitars, Gibsons. I can always tell a Gibson on a record. If I hear like someone's playing Gibson on a record, I go, oh, that's a Gibson. Not that anybody plays Loudons, but if anyone ever played a Loudon on a record, I go, oh, that's a Loudon. But Martins just sound like guitars. So Martins, like everybody played a Martin in the 50s and 60s. A few people played Gibsons. Even the Beatles played Martin. I think Yesterday was recorded on a Martin. I think that's a Martin guitar, if I'm not mistaken, that he played on that. It wasn't a Gibson guitar, but I could be wrong. Oh, no, it was an Epiphone. That's right, he played an Epiphone, which was pre-Gibson. That was, in the 60s, Gibson Epiphone was its own company, so. Yeah. Yeah, I think that, I mean, I have a baritone acoustic, so that one comes in, I use that every now and then. It comes in real handy when someone writes notes that are below the acoustic. It's a Martin, a baritone acoustic. It's actually the prototype. I have the one prototype that they made. They sent it to me. They sent it to me to get my opinion on it, and then they let me keep it, which was pretty cool. So, in the Odyssey, Odysseus told the Cyclops his name was Nobody. Oh, so when he asked who injured his eye, the Cyclops said nobody did. Interesting. That was clever. That was very clever of Odysseus. I forgot about that. I'm sure I knew that at some point because I read that book. Let's see. All right. Well, I'm gonna head out. I've got to get some work done today. I gotta get something done today. This doesn't. I appreciate the coin, but it doesn't pay the bills. So I'll probably do a new scale next week, and I will try to fix this and repost it to Discord and get rid of those other ones. So they will be collector's items when I delete them. Okay. Oh, 51 Martin nylon string. Oh, that's a great guitar. A lot of people convert those to steel strings too. That was like a big thing to do. I had a friend that had a 40s nylon that he traded a vintage telly for. Somebody gave him a vintage telly for it, and it was a pre-war nylon, and they turned it into a steel string. So, all right, everybody, take care. God bless you. Bye bye. See you later.